A make-or-break summit today in Saudi Arabia between Ukraine and the United States has ended, and there are a couple of pretty major decisions coming out of this. The first is that the United States is saying that it will resume sharing intelligence with Ukraine, as well as sending military aid. This is a big change from what we saw last month with that Oval Office blow-up between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, President Donald Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance getting into a major argument in the Oval Office. Secondly, we did see the United States and Ukraine both pitch the idea of a 30-day ceasefire to halt Russia's war in that country. Now, it depends a lot on what Moscow is going to say. So far, Russian President Vladimir Putin has not offered any concessions. The Ukrainians are still holding a piece of Russia right now, the area of Kursk, and Russia is still holding large chunks of eastern Ukraine. Another wrinkle in this is the fact that Ukraine launched its biggest ever drone attack on Russia just before these talks started today. That saw some 300 drones, some going towards Moscow. At least 3 people were killed and others were wounded in that attack. So while the intelligence sharing and the military aid returning to Ukraine is major for Kyiv, the real question remains just how Putin and the rest of the Russian government is going to react to the ceasefire and whether the guns could stop firing in this bloody conflict.
On the first point, your question is yes, that's the offer. The offer is to stop the shooting. The goal here is the only way out to end this war is to negotiate out of it. There's no military solution to this war. The solution to this war and the way to end it and to achieve the president's objective of peace is to negotiate. But before you can negotiate, you have to stop shooting at each other. And that's what the president has wanted to see, and that's the commitment we got today from the Ukrainian side, their willingness to do that. Obviously now that'll be delivered to the Russians. It'll be delivered to them directly through multiple channels, meaning not only will they obviously see it, but it'll be communicated to them through our diplomatic channels, through conversations and other methods, but they'll obviously be well aware. And our hope is that the Russians will say yes, that they will also agree. So the shooting will stop, the killing will stop, the dying will stop, and the talks can begin about how to end this war permanently in a way that's acceptable and enduring for both sides.
Look, there's been all kinds of discussions in terms of different types of ceasefires. You know, there was the deal in terms of grain moving years ago. There's been discussion of halting aerial attacks on each other's infrastructure. The president has made it clear and certainly made it clear to us that all fighting needs to stop. And the Ukrainians have agreed to that proposal. They're ready for peace. And now we'll take that to the Russians and get their response.
Ukraine on Tuesday agreed to accept a U.S. proposal for an immediate 30-day ceasefire in the conflict with Russia. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the agreement after more than 8 hours of talks between Ukrainian and U.S. officials in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation.
Rubio said he would now take the offer to Moscow.
And we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball is now in their court.
The development comes after a stunning Oval Office shouting match between the presidents of the two countries.
You're gambling with World War III.
The rift had immediate repercussions for Ukraine. President Donald Trump canceled military support and ended crucial intelligence sharing. But as part of accepting the proposed ceasefire, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said Washington will resume sharing aid and intelligence with Kyiv.
And that's effective immediately.
Outside the White House, Trump said there would be a U.S. meeting with Russia to discuss the ceasefire plan soon.
Hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road. I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and the That's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. If we can't, we just keep going on and people are going to get killed, lots of people.
Is Zelensky invited back to the White House?
Sure, absolutely.
Later, Russia's foreign ministry said it didn't rule out contacts with U.S. representatives over the next several days, according to state news agency RIA. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who was in Saudi Arabia but did not participate in the talks, said the ceasefire was a positive proposal.
Вважаємо це позитивним.
He also said the two countries would work to finalize a minerals agreement.
И это очень серьезно и очень